Hi to everyone. Welcome back to our 12th lecture of our series of lecture. Today here we have Xiahong. So it's a full professor at the architecture department from the College of Architecture and Urban Planning at Tongji University in Shanghai. She is also a Chinese resident architecture and a visit fellow in the School of Architecture of Yale University, a visiting professor and researcher in the University of Venice in Europe. And she is also an academic advisor for Atelier Art Mixed based in Shanghai. And she today will share with us her lecture titled Changes in the Common Space, an everyday report from a Chinese architectural studio. So I will leave you the floor. Thank you.
So I just start, right? Okay. And thank you very much for Julia's introduction, and also thank you very much for me. Are there an echoing? Is it good for you to hear? Okay. It seems my voice is like singing. A lot of echoing. And thank you very much for Michele's invitation for me to do a lecture here in Polytechnic of Torino, because this for the former 5 months I'm a visiting professor in UAF, so I have finished 10 lectures, mostly on architecture history and theory. I just told that it's really serious. So today, the topic is really a happy topic for me. And also I like very much this idea of amate e odiate l'architettura. This topic is very interesting. So today I will mainly, as one part of the academic advisor for Atelier Mixing based in Shanghai. So mainly introduce you some experiments we have done in Shanghai, mainly in China. So based on today's topic, why I think we will talk about love or hate architecture. Actually, for me, how to keep survive as an architect is very much a challenge. If you don't need to think about that, you are very happy to learn architecture. This is one side also for us, how to survive better as practicing architects. Our work is doing like that. Another thing is that if you are very commercially successful, sometimes as architect, when they were educated like that, they were also worried about whether we can contribute something to the discipline, academically success, do some design research. Then for us, the direction is also about whether it's possible to think the everyday life and ordinary programs in the contemporary context and see the meaning for such kind of practice, mainly our practice, not from those kind of landmark projects, but from everyday projects. Those this is a starting point. Then under the Chinese context, we all know that it's a really quick, rapid urbanization in the passing 3 decades. This is a Shanghai situation. For the 3 decades, China has built totally more than 60 billion square meters buildings. It's incredible. So that's a radical change in historical period. We are the architects practicing in such a historical period. Of course, it seems a lot of projects, maybe. There's also a situation that not only the rapid urbanization, but also extensive commercialization in China. So this is a basic background for our practice. And then Then for atelier arc mixing, I think maybe one unique thing is we do a lot of, there's different directions for our work. We do design practice, mainly as architects. Then we also do design research and urban research and also spatial experiments by ourselves, and also based on that do theoretical reflection. Then all these things are working together. They are integrative working. So this is like a timeline for our practice. A different color means the green part is our projects. Then the blue one are our articles. Then the black one are some new concepts we are thinking about. So we want to show that basically all these works are integrated. They help each other. They cannot separate it from each other. Then atelier mixing was established in 2009, mainly by my husband in the middle, Zhuang Sheng, and our friends Ren Hao, Tang Yu, and Zhu Jie. Then I, from the very beginning, serving as the academic advisor, because like research, theoretical thinking is also one part of our work. Then I would like to start from explain why arc mixing. The name of arc mixing, from English, it's easier to understand. It's like a mixing architecture, like that. You know, our Chinese is a pronunciation for arc mixing, arc mixing. We don't want Chinese to be something meaningful, but more like a scientific fiction. You cannot understand what that means. Then I put here two theses, is because arc mixing is a kind of mixed consideration based on both my husband's thesis and my doctoral dissertation. They are seemingly very different. My husband's master thesis is about the life spread of Chinese garden, and finished in 1997. He is doing like this one idea from the traditional, not garden, but also aesthetic considerations. Finally, he has turned into a design strategy. I will introduce a little bit then. And then is my doctoral dissertation is researching on the architecture in the consumer culture. And then the main idea is in the consumer culture is kind of a logic for nowadays consumers or post-industrial society. So everything is can be consumed, including the design, the culture, innovation, and material production are all integrated. All former hierarchy for like high art or everyday life all melt. So there's no longer boundaries between different fields. This is the main idea. Then I show here the traditional painting. Here is from the my husband Zhuang Sheng's thesis. He's talking about the relationship between parts and the whole, saying that in Chinese traditional philosophy, parts, the whole was like show when the whole was interrupted. Then you see parts, but you can feel the whole. Use this painting like these drawings, how you can feel the water is flowing, because you can see there's some like lotus in the water. You see the water is stopped. Then you can understand actually it was continued. Then it's also like in the garden, when there's a fence, there's like a wall, a boundary between different spaces. Then it is exactly the division make you understand better the connection. This is a kind of idea. Then this has become his design strategy. Many times he will think a program like that, how to build an interruption and to help you to understand the whole. Then we, after I finished the dissertation, we put this together. Now it's like your consideration is no longer only about the architectural space, but the interruption or mixing could be even something in different categories. This is a kind of thinking after we established arc mixing. But we need some more cases to understand it better. So I would like to start from this seemingly a crazy idea. I think maybe only people like the others do, then watch. It's a new year, new office program. For the passing years, we have, in the historical period, we have moved every year our office to a different region in Shanghai. The purpose is to do research, urban research, when we are working and living in this district. But this actually influences a lot because your way of working, and even your furnitures and your how to store your data need to all change. So this is largely changed our concept of design and also thinking of design. Then actually, this idea comes from very beginning when we established our office in a former residential area in a former kindergarten. Then in that kindergarten, we have our office, definitely. Then there is, this is the garden part. Then outside is the residences. You see, this is the residences. So actually we have two public spaces. This is outside space is one. Another one is the former kitchen. We turn into multiple functional spaces. Then at that historical moment, we are very utopian thinking that maybe we can like invite the community to use our public spaces, then open our garden first. But this is a failure because when the residents come in, then they just playing card here, leave all the waste here, then go outside. So finally, we haven't opened the garden anymore, but we still use this space, multiple functional space as exhibition, or sometimes also every year 4 times we are doing academic lectures because we want to at that historical moment, there are not so many public lectures yet in Shanghai. Then we want to connect the academic work, especially those doctoral dissertations, with the practicing architectural world. So build connection between them. This is successful. We still work on that. Then after 5 years, this rent was stopped because the government want to re-renovate this kindergarten into another daycare for the older people. So we have to move out. Then we have to find a place in Shanghai. Then in this process, we found the first place is not successful. So we have to find a second place. During this process, we found it's actually quite easy for you to find a place to work in Shanghai. A temporary lease is also possible. Then they have this crazy idea that maybe we can do like move our space every year. In this process, we can understand what it's like making ourselves as the experiments to do spatial usage. What can spatial usage influence your future design, and what's your new mode of use will be influenced by the former usage of space. So we have moved different spaces. This is a former photograph workshop. This is again a kindergarten, and this is a rooftop addition where you can see the metro line running, something like that. So this moving office idea is also connected with our everyday urban research program. So from 2013, we are doing a lot of everyday urban researchers. It's also connected with other friends in Shanghai, other architects. They launched a program called Shanghai Projects for architects, individual architects, doing like the researchers on the everyday urbanism. It's very common in those East Asia cities. A lot of like this is a workers' village, because when the population grows, the former facility cannot support their life. So they will aid their living facility on the surface or on everywhere it's possible. So you will see a kind of very how to say, chaotic situation, but also a kind of a dramatic situation. So this is starting point for the research. It's not only Mixing is doing that. Other architect, this is another one, Atelier Z+. They are also doing such kind of research. Then for Atelier Z+, they pay a lot of attention to that. In this informal addition process, space, like architectural space, is not only architect's work, but is a human right, right? When especially those people may be the low income people, they have to do such kind of addition with the population growth. And they also observe those everyday urban space, how like different elements were aided in those spaces, which made the space extremely chaos, but also very dynamic. Like in the, there are also difference between the daytime and nighttime. During night, maybe it's very active. So they are observing such kind of everyday spatial usage. But for Atelier Mixing, maybe the research strategy is a little bit different. We are not so care a lot about the social aspect, like space as human rights. More care about how these kind of material addition executed, how to the relationship between these facilities with usage, and also how they were constructed, something like that. So all these very strange diagrams were kind of thinking of these new addition for the building, what's they can be categorized. So we have found a lot of very interesting cases. Like this is a pigeon's house, really a fantastic structure and space. And this one is even more crazy because this was built. You can see a lot of stuffs. Actually, all these stuffs were used as kind of spatial elements to build a living environment. And the former space is actually a gap between two buildings where the emergency staircase was built. Then based on this emergency staircase, the inhabitants have developed a lot, built incredible complicated built environment, using a lot of facilities we can never, as the architect may never take into consideration as something you can use to building spaces. So, but later they were also demolished. So we were doing like research on such kind of crazy urban informal construction, try to understand what's the essence of space, what's what like a building as a very normal activity for all people, what they will do like this. So these are we use different kinds of diagrams to understand this situation. Then every time when we move from our office, we will do an exhibition on this region to show to the public our understanding nearby this region. So this is the situation. Then this is also I have put on the post the main idea for our work. It's as I said, it's an integrated work of all kinds of activities, design and theoretical thinking, and also the strategies. So based on our observation for the everyday urbanism, we have a new cognition for architectural field. That is, one is like spatial redundancy. Built environment is like a natural world. It will evolving, changing, keep changing. So the building is not an end. It will, after it was completed, it will keep changing. So architect's work is no longer pursuing for an end, because your work will also always be changing. So take it easy. So it's a one, all is a process. Your work is also the process of that. Something like that. Then these things also related to the new fields where we can find some work to do. To explore new fields like the fragment part or interior. Nowadays, maybe we have more regeneration programs like this building. So the interior is the main field you can do design. But before that, we are always looking forward at least a whole project to do design. But actually, nowadays in China, it's very common. Maybe you have no chance to do the whole project. Sometimes you need to do a small part of the building. So whether there could also be a chance to do something interesting. So fragment part interior could be a new field for architectural design. This is then in terms of strategy, we can use different strategies because based on this observation of changing as a common sense. Then our main idea for changing are two directions. One is what has changed the existed building. The other direction is what will change the future building. So these are our main focus. So I will use some cases to explain how this kind of cognition and also new fields we have discovered and also strategies we have used in such kind of projects. Then this is a project located in one of the busiest commercial center in Shanghai near Lujiazui. But our project is only the surface design. So we are asked to do exterior renovation for that. We see now it was a lighted building, but actually it's a building of changing. You see, during the daytime, it's quiet. During the night, it will suddenly light up. So the idea there are two ideas or requirements for this building. One is because this building is located in the historical preservation area, so we are required to keep the whole region like original historical area. So it's not allowed to make too dramatic change for the surface. But on the other hand, I have mentioned that this is one of very busy commercial area. Then we will build this area, another boutique commercial area. How to make your area even more, at least equal attractive like the commercial center. This is challenging. So we make this idea to make a building of changing. So use the surface to like light it. But actually this is technologically very sophisticated consideration. So we put a coat on this building and we customize a kind of a product, which is a brick, lighted brick, has the same size as the original gray brick. So we combine this gray brick used to be used in this nearby historical area to make this building very coherent with the surroundings, while at the same time use this special brick, which is actually a light box with very gentle textures. We use some new materials to make it light. So you can see it is actually, during the daytime, you cannot figure out which is the real gray brick and which is light brick. When it was lighted up, actually you have also these textures. So this is a strategy for how to make both coherent and changing, a kind of surprising building, because it will change every day. So that's different from you put a neon light on it, or you use like a curtain wall on it. That's very different because this is a small elements. Then is it possible only use this surface to do something more, not only like aesthetic performance? We have another chance. This is at a care center. We again are asked to do a facade renovation even before the building was built, because when they finished the construction drawing and doing the structural design, structural building, the local government are not satisfied with this design, think it's too normal. So asked us to do like beautify this facade. Then when we look at the plan, we found this is not a good solution for a daycare center for old people. This is not a hospital, but it was arranged as a hospital. All rooms were isolated. They have only one corridors. So there's no public spaces for this daycare center. We think this is not good for the old people living here. So we convinced clients whether we can like use all the surfaces to improve the function. So build some public spaces, connect the balconies, leave all the air conditionings together in some region, but build all those balconies connected. Then on the roof, maybe add some public sharing spaces for watching TV or playing card or something like that. Then we succeed in that. So finally, we use this opportunity of facade renovation into an opportunity of spatial improvement. Then the technology is very much like, you see the residences around, they are on the surface, a lot of things are aiding. So we are also, because the structure, we cannot change the structure anymore. So we use those light structure, just like those informal construction. They will apply everything available, the cheapest material, the lightest structure to do the addition. So we learn from that to do the addition for these new spatial and balconies like this. Finally, actually, this project is a failure. Finally, they still like divided space. They don't want to connected space. But the idea, I think, it's success. Then, if we cannot do anything expansion from expand your space, are there any possible to do fully interior to do something different? Then this is another case is renovate ordinary office building into a kindergarten. Then the client want as many as possible classrooms. So this is a regular grade with like 8 meter multiple 8 meter, but the height is quite okay. It's like 4.2 height. So since we can do nothing on the plan, so this time we have to do something on the section, because for the kids, they are very small. So we can create two system of the scale system. So we built two, for each floor, we built 2 layers. The lower part only 2 meters high for the students. Then the upper part about 1.4 meters high. Part of them were like include all the facilities. Then part of them were used as the window light to make this space, every classroom, although they are very regular, standard in the plan, but from the space, from the section, they are very different. It's also for the surface is also the cheapest, just mix the level of the floors. Then inside, mainly I would like to show the inside. It's like this. So you can see the 2 levels in the interior. So it's a fully used interior space to create each classroom a different space and with light, and also control all the facilities inside. So when they are using, it's very much a cozy space for the kids, and also a very light space for the kids. Then there's also a chance, because of this kind of thinking, we even have a chance that during the process, we have developed our projects from really tiny projects to a rather big projects. So in this way, we have more work, right? It's possible. This case is very interesting because at the very beginning, we are asked to by the government to build, to design some small commercial buildings on the public green. It's about several hundred square meters. Then when we check the big program, we found that this is underneath, there is a public parking. So we told the government, why we don't integrate the parking with the greenery? So that would be good, right? So this is the first stage. Then we enlarge our project. Then the second stage is extremely dramatic, because when we are doing the project, meanwhile, there nearby this site, there is a primary school. Then this primary school need to expanded. Then there's no, because it was fully closed, so there's no space to expand. Then they ask us whether they can put some basketball fields in our greenery. We don't like that. We don't want to add something more in our greenery. So we have asked, so can you show us your design for this expansion program, then we found this is really bad design. Because if they really do that, the parents will kill them. This is one of the best primary school in this region, which was located not in the downtown area, but the outside area. So this greenery is not in the downtown area, actually in the area a little bit far away from the downtown. But the addition is you see that they have decreased the playground, cut into half, and also add all these facilities 3 sides of the former classroom, which means during the construction, this classroom cannot use almost. It was surrounded with construction fields, right? And also the playground was cut. So then we think, well, maybe we can do something different. We can go across the boundary. Why don't we just put all those addition on this side, cantilever on the greenery? Then, because there's a staircase here, so we just block the wall during the construction. Then after that, we open the wall. So the 2 parts was connected, while also the land was more compactly used. But this is not something architect can do, because it's related to different about the governmental administration, and also like the educational field and the public field, they need to melt. So then we send this plan to the local government. The local government think this is also a good idea. So finally, they negotiated to do that like that. That's why finally they gave all those programs to us, also including the schools. Yeah, this is the process how we develop our work. Then this is situation, we integrate all these facilities together, and also then like cantilever the classroom. Actually, nearby the boundary of the between the greenery and the school, actually there's the emergency road. So the structure is stood on the emergency road. Then part of them were cantilever on the greenery. In this way, before that, the entrance for the this school was on the road. Then when we we have this solution, we also open these boundaries, not only the ground floor, but also the underneath floor. So in this way, because this, I have mentioned this school is far away from the downtown area. So the parents need to drive here to take their children back. So in this process, they can use the parking, then the students can use the greenery. So in this way, the greenery become a more public space than before. So it's this is a really, I think this is a good solution. Very positive solution. And then we recently we are also writing papers saying that what is locality? Locality is maybe could be a process between architectural design and municipal administration. There's interaction between them. Then because each site is different, then it decide we have hardcore for design. Only when you can find out such kind of solution, you will lead to such kind of innovation, so-called locality. Then I'd also like to say nowadays in China, the online e-business is incredible. In China, you cannot live without a cell phone pay. We no longer use money like this. Only one day, the November 11, the biggest T-mall, we have almost 500 billion yuan for one day selling. So it's crazy. So we have another project is related to how to combine this online and offline business. We were asked by an online famous brand to build an offline experience shop for them, but this shop was located far away from downtown. This city is a small city, and this is 30 kilometers far away from a downtown in a totally industrial area without other commercials. So how to build such a normal industrial buildings into a commercially attractive space? This is a challenge. Then this is the online brand. They do very success online. They want to provide both the clothes selling part and also a boutique dining room here. So our solution is built two housing house, the interior, built another two interiors to accommodate these two functions. Then the whole industrial building was divided into several parts. There are two large pavilions. Between them, it's more or less like a covered urban plaza. It's when you go inside, it's like this. Each pavilion, the section of pavilion was showcased on the entrance. They are these two pavilions are apply totally same structure, but based on their different functions, we have provided different materials to create different atmospheres. And this one is for the shopping part, so only steel structure with totally transparent atmosphere to selling the products. Then the other part is the restaurant. So we use the timber steel structure to keep the space scale more intimate and the warmer. So it's like this. It was more covered and use very sophisticated details to create such a elegant experience. And between these two pavilions, the blank space, they have invited even some sports area, so the children can play here when the parents either do shopping or have cafe. Because I have mentioned this is a space very far away from downtown area. So how to create a space easy for like sharing in the social media, and also keep the clients or the customers stay a bit longer here. This is a consideration. Then the green part is, of course, the air conditioner. So it's kind of provide several layers of environment protection system. The first one is the former factory. Inside the whole space, there's no air conditioner. Then inside these two pavilions, it was further enclosed. Then we add this pipes to aid air conditioner inside. So you will have in the whole space, you have different layers of environment control, temperature control, and also the form of these pipes form another attractive elements for this building. So finally, people love this. These are pictures they show in their social media. So this part we have also mentioned a little bit about nowadays life. It's more or less not only considering the real material space, but we are also considering an online and offline integrated life, and also how we architect can contribute or do something related to that. So it's more or less related to what will change the future architecture. And then we have also other kind of experiments. This is another renovation project. Here we have built a community shared space inside this office building. It can become shared with the community. I think the uniqueness for this space is not only that we built inside a shared space and with like independent access for this space. It's more this space, the atmosphere, the difference of this space was created with sounds. We use sounds to create space. So the same space, through the changing of sound, we have installed a lot of sound instruments. We collaborated with sound artists to do such kind of practice. So you can create like a holy space, like chapel, or create a rather happy space or something else, fully used this sound without anything else. This is another thinking for like using different technologies and also the sense kind of our sense for the space nowadays actually can maybe also divided into different elements, whether it can also be applied in your design. This is another consideration. Then I would like to turn back again this program. When we are moving our offices, it would be very inefficiency. If we move the whole size, it would be very big. That's why we have divided our own office function into 3 sections. One is the working part. It was moving. Another one is a storage part. Then we put into the rural area where the rent is rather low. Then another site is our multiple functional space. We don't want to give up this space. We think it must be located in the downtown area to attract more activities. So we use it as spatial experiments to use only space to like, how can we use one space to create, to achieve different functions. So we have to do 2 versions of that. And also in this space, we have to do a lot of salons. And I introduced the first case. This is also in former factory. We renovated this space, a bit higher space, into actually 3 sections. One is the white space, which is quite high. And then this part is the black space with the cafe space. Then another part is the gray space, is the 2nd floor of this part. The underneath is the toilet. So through different connections, we can build different spaces. Then in this space, we have do a lot of activities. Every year, almost 100 activities we will do there, different kinds of performance or exhibition or lectures. Like I would like to introduce this one. One time we have to like a science fiction film again. Then on the screen, we are doing this. Then on this bridge, some like a film professionals, they are explain the film in customs. And then it's very much science fiction, the whole space. And like this one is this is a writer from I don't know, Peru or somewhere else. He is reading his book. Then one is doing performance based on his book. So the audience was here because between them the big glasses. So like this, we can do different kinds of activities. So this is a spatial experiment. And we are not only doing spatial experiments based on that commercial space. But we are also doing spatial experiments using our own offices. Every time we were changing the office into a working place, or sometimes an exhibition place, sometimes together, like exhibition and workplace together. This is what we were doing during our 10 years anniversary. We are doing the exhibition when we are working. Then we go even further. Recently, last year, when we are doing the work with the Shenzhen Hong Kong Biennial, we do the virtual exhibition part. So we create a game together with a technology company. It's like building a kind of artificial environment, and then connect the real exhibition site with this virtual environment. Then different kind of like a tropical or like a forest or something like that. Then we create these figures. It's a light flyer. So every visitors, when they come to visit this exhibition, they can register it as a light flyer. Then they can enter into the virtual space. I have a video here. So you can understand the situation. You can do interaction between the friends. So there's a connection between the real with the inside and the virtual environment. Something like that. It's kind of thinking what's the nowadays life and a relationship between the real environment and possible the virtual everyday. We may use very much virtual connections. So basically this topic, change is common sense, is a topic we do last year. We have an exhibition in Riba, London, and also that's why Michaela will kindly attend our forum on this exhibition. Then this is the final one. I would like to say all the just as I say, why we like love or hate architecture is because we are expecting something from this discipline. Whether nowadays we can still, architect can still do something today, or architecture can still have some value today. This is very much the why we are so complicated. Then for Atelier mixing, all our concern is very basic, the relationship between the human and the space. We more valued very much about the space, the usage of the space, and also the change of the space. So it become like a continuous process instead of one linear process from the goal to design to the product. It's like that. So we put our work in such a relationship. Then for our own practice, it's the whole design practice, research, and theoretical thinking, or our own spatial experiments, no matter physical or like virtual, they are all connected. They either we found something special during we are doing practice, so we need to consider what that means, or we found something from the environment, so we will also consider are there something special we can learn from today's design. So all these processes are during all kinds of action. We are doing different actions, found maybe there's some response for our actions, then we will think about that, then maybe find out something special, then contribute to our practice. It's always like that. So that's all for today's sharing. Thank you very much.
It's there. Time for discussion. Yes, we have 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Opportunity of discussion. So first, thank you very much for this lecture. I think was quite a lot interesting because of two reasons. One, more than two reasons, but mostly for two reasons, in my opinion. One is about practices. So you show many ways of doing architecture. So through urban research, exhibitions, real projects, of course, this attempt to put all your work in diagrams and try to understand the meaning. And second, a very clear approach to architectural reuse. So I appreciated very much the cases of architectural reuse, and each of them had a very clear methodology. So with a diagram, a simple scheme was quite direct, quite straight to on your side to tell which was the key point, the main approach. So thank you for this lecture. I invite the student to prepare questions or any comments, but I start with one question on my side, because I am very fascinated by the idea of the academic advisor inside a practice. So I guess this role is first doing something more cultural, like exhibitions, like publication, but I guess much more than this. I want to know more about this, your role of academic advisor, because you are a professor and scholar in Tongji, but then you have this special role of academic advisor. Also in any single project, you contribute to a kind of critic discussion through.
This is a good question. Yes, it's very special, maybe for a small practice. We have an academic advisor. Then my role, actually, I have participated in the very limited projects, real design projects. Then my role is mainly for, on one side, for more theoretical thinking together with my husband. So we are doing those writings and so try to find out more systematic thinking. On the other hand is at the very beginning, the atelier mixing has a media section. At the very not only for like an individual practice, you need to branding, right? This is important. On the other hand, like we organize those academic lectures, that's also important. Then, so this part is under like the lecture series were totally based on my husband and I's own academic interests. So we choose. Then we what is maybe interesting and also inspiring. So in this way, atelier mixing from the very beginning, all these thinkings is not like before the project, you think some idea, or after project, you do some conclusion. It's not like that. The thinking is always like integrated inside, just like at the very beginning, why I introduced this, our thesis combination, because these two seemingly very different, but it my thesis actually opened because the chief architect is still Zhuang Shen, so kindly opened his mind that even the elements from different fields or even different contents could be like equal when you are doing design. You can mix very different situations. Yes, so this is, I think, a very connected to our character for our design. So just as you have mentioned, the strategy is very clear. So you pick some problem, you find some key point in this practice. So you find out a very clear solution to deal with. But this solution is very much not a conventional spatial solution. Yeah, this is a kind of open mind. So I think this is my role, more or less. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will invite students that have a question. You want to talk some question?
Or like projects you feel very... Yeah. Of course.
I have a curiosity, like in the first project that you show where you was analyzing the informal construction of the neighborhood in the soul space between the two buildings. If you have analyzed also like the materialization of that construction, or where this material come from, like how they build these things, like the function of each.
I think this is a really very interesting question, because we found when those informal construction, the rules is it's a kind of very logical for pragmatism, right? So they will use all those available materials. Then they have no character division as our professional people do. Like they maybe use something like a basin or even a morphine, maybe could also be some elements as space elements. So that's something really interesting for us, because sometimes in our renovation program, there's one case, actually from the very beginning, that case is kind of initial section for former silkworm factory turned into a commercial center. Then, so what we designed will be demolished in maybe 1 year. Then we learn, usually when we are doing design, we always consider that you need to use very good detail. You need to use like better material or that. But this is a kind of thinking of a building as a product. But if you think more as a usage, you thinking the whole process as something, then you will, finally for our solution is choose the quickest solution, the simplest solution, which will be maybe rotten in 1 year, because it will end in 1 year. So, and also like the foundation, the floor is a concrete floor. Then we just dig some area to aid the piles. Then the foundation, usually we need to dig inside to build a concrete foundation. No, we haven't do like that. We just hem inside a big steel as a foundation. So something like that. So it's very much like everyday informal construction. They have no technologies, so they do whatever is available and for its function. So what function is exactly means? Function is not a fixed meaning, but you need to also take into consideration like the process, the mean, like also like the school case, the construction process. When you do design, you never think about the construction process, but that's very important for, especially for a renovation project, actually, and the times and the possibility. And another thing is in China, we have, especially our projects are very small, some of them in the rural area. There's no real craftsmen. They are all amateur craftsmen. They have not very high skills. So you need to use whatever they can do. That's also something you need to consideration. So all these are what you can learn from those kind of informal projects. They are very smart. Actually, will refresh your thinking.
Thank you. It was
Thank
a
you,
really
Julia.
interesting
Yeah.
answer. Yes. Yes,
Please.
Thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Going through the attached file on the ACC website, I was reading through and I saw a footnote or a quote. You said, design practice entails applying effective strategies and technologies to meet present demands, rather than chasing revolutionary concepts, pure forms, novel materials, or elaborate constructions. As architecture students and future architects, we all love, I, as a person, love innovative tools, trying to find new ways of thinking architecture. As a professor and as a practitioner, I would like you to advise me on this approach. Should I forget about or neglect a little bit the aspect of revolution in the field of architecture, or try to embrace it on one end and on the other end, finding solutions to meet present demand? Thank you.
I think this is a very good question. This is also a complex for the designers. So it's very much important is how you define creativity. Is creativity like produce a novel form, or a creativity is find like a suitable solution and build a suitable space or a suitable relationship between the space and human use? I think that's different considerations, right? So if you highlight more the creativity to find a suitable relationship for your own case, which is really the suitable one and suitable space form provided and a suitable strategy and solution. I think this process very much asks for creativity, found the right question, found the right problem, then find the suitable solution. I give you one case is that sometimes we even need to control our formal innovation to make your space more suitable. I haven't included this here. We have another renovation project. It's also kind of ask us to do a surface renovation. Then that program is to renovate it a very small commercial building with zigzag form into a memorial hall for a national hero, actually. The national hero was formerly located, put into a former Confucian temple. It's a glorious temple. Then later the Confucian temple need to move back. So they move up this national heroes memorial to move to the nearby small buildings. Then how to this time again, we convince the clients to let us use the same money to do a spatial adjustment, a redesign space. Then we also built a gallery around this zigzag form to form a rather regular form for the whole building and also enlarge the whole space. Between them, there's some space as a courtyard. So you have some interior and exterior space. This is in a park. This park is an everyday park. Then the gallery will deliberately use not modern form, but traditional form, because beside that, the Confucian temple is a traditional form. Then we use timber structure and traditional tiles to cover this gallery. And more important of all, because the timber structure, when it was built, it is a light timber structure, a new one, right? It's also very beautiful. Then later, my husband decided to paint it into old color, dark color, make this building like kind of invisible. You feel this is an old building, already existed for a long time. So this is, then finally, the result is what we are expecting. We wish the people use this space, and this is open, so they can pass, they can go into the memorial hall or not go into, they can choose. But it's actually a kind of memorial spirit in a very everyday sense. It's very much relying on this form. It's kind of a traditional form. So in this case, sometimes we will either value very much the traditional building or very much value the innovative form to those the former traditional vernacular buildings. In each case, actually, you find something more special. But in this case, you see all these things are equal things. You are just choose the most suitable form in your solution instead of the most fashion form. That's the most difficult part. How to control your design, just like you are playing Kung Fu. Kung Fu, the essence is not you do hard as possible. It's how you can accurately touch something. That's the key point also for design. Choose the most accurate solution. That's something called creativity, not the most innovative form.
Thank you very much. Just one last question. And
Of course.
I think you shared a second project, if I remember right, whereby the public space which you propose was being used by the community, but at the end of the day, I think it was messed up by them and you decided to shut it. And we know that these problems is recurrent in many architectural works. As young architects hoping to change the future, what would be your advice for us? Should it be that when it doesn't work in that way, in a certain way, we let it go or we shut it down? Or is there a better way we can get users, potential users, to understand and respect a given piece of architecture? Because we cannot really, cannot really force it into their head. And don't do it like this.
If I'm understand you well, you mean that like during the pandemic, a lot of space was changed and closed. Is that the
no?
best?
There was a project you shared. In that project, I think it's like a courtyard also, a little courtyard, and I think it's the second project if I remember.
You
right.
mean the Elder Care Center?
Let me see.
Courtyard.
I think it is the one. I think it's the second one.
The garden.
You mean this?
Yeah, I can see it on the.
Okay. You mean this? Okay. You mean this one?
No, not this one.
Next.
I think, let's see.
The courtyard?
I think it was a.
You mean this one? This is
Let me see.
these are researchers.
No, there was one of them you showed. It was a little, not a very big space, but at the end of the day, you said the people who came in to use it, they messed it up. So,
Okay, the office in the garden.
You mean this, right?
yeah, this one. So my mind just went to back to this. So they messed it up and you had to close it. So my question is, as architects, how can we better educate these people? Because I believe many people really do not know how to appreciate a space to make sure that it is well preserved and well used in the right way. Thank you.
This is usage, so we cannot control usage actually. So this is a process. People will learn. Sometimes it's a problem. It cannot work. So just let it be. We at that time we want to open this space, the garden place, to the surrounding community. So they go inside, playing card here. They leave everything here. So we finally close this part. But when we have like activities, we still open our space. So it's like not open all the days selected, but when you are doing public spaces, it's very often that the final use are not what you are expecting. Then this is not a typical case. I tell you a typical case is recently in China, we often do a lot of micro renovation projects in those public space. I have done several cases. Architecturally, they are successful actually, no problem. But since those programs maybe have no connection with the big plan, so later, maybe after 2 years, they will demolish again. So although your place is good, well designed, then they demolished, changed. So it's not good. Or sometimes maybe the space needs some activities to support, to make it more vivid. Sometimes maybe there's no activities support, then they were abandoned. So these situations are very often happen too. As designer, of course, you should try your best to understand how to provide a space suitable for the user. Then sometimes it do happen. You have think very ideally, but the final situation is not so good. But the other direction is also possible. Sometimes maybe a space is not so good, but they are used well. So, so if you think design is only a process, not an end, you just take it easy. It happens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
right,
our
because-
time is. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for your lecture. Thank you
for
very
your-
much to Professor Michele to moderate it.
Thank you.
See you next week with the Sunday leader.